Coming up on the 7-Minute Sports Daily, we take a quick look at the biggest baller in all of sports. A baller that had the nerve to wake up one morning and decide that he was going to go out and buy a professional sports league. Dwayne Johnson, all of that, and trust me, a whole lot more coming up on The Big Show today. I am Dave DeBaugh. This is the 7-Minute Sports Daily, my daily attempt to bring you the world of sports in 7 minutes or less. Let's go ahead and dive into it, shall we? Okay, so Dwayne Johnson and a group of investors, which includes Gerry Cardinale from RedBird Capital and his ex-wife Dany Garcia, each put in $5 million to acquire the XFL. Now, the XFL's in bankruptcy, as we all know, and should be out of bankruptcy on August 21st is the target date, assuming there are no legal speed bumps between now and then, and apparently it doesn't look like there are going to be any. So, members of the media have been all over this story since it broke. Literally, when this story started to break, the portion, of the sports internet, it started to fail as rumors of Dwayne Johnson spending $50 million of his own money to buy the XFL spread across the internet faster than a PG&E induced California wildfire. I'm just saying, it was absolutely amazing to watch the coverage come down of Dwayne Johnson purchasing the XFL. Now, a lot of people didn't do their due diligence in this story. A lot of people just simply said, Dwayne spent $15 million of his own money. What they failed to do was look at the fine print. He spent $5 million of his own money. Gerry Cardinale from RedBird Capital spent $5 million, and Dwayne's ex-wife, Dany Garcia, spent $5 million. Now, on the surface, you might say, wow, what's Dwayne doing with his ex-wife? Well, him and Dany Garcia have actually been divorced since 2009, but they have a production company that they've been running together very, very successfully. They helped produce the latest Jumanji movie, the Ballers movie. They got like 8 other projects currently in development. It is a significant size production company in Los Angeles that is printing cash at this point. So Dwayne Johnson threw in $5 million of his own money, Garcia $5 million of her money, and Gerry Cardinale $5 million of his money. Just a smart investment. Like, when I started looking at this, I was like, it was $15 million. Jeez, that just doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, hell, the Clippers, the Los Angeles Clippers sold for $2 billion. The Clippers sold for $2 billion. So I started to think about it. Was this a wise investment for Dwayne Johnson? And when you actually start and you dig into it, and you dig into the ratings, which are important, that's an extraordinarily important part of this conversation. It's also something that 95% of the media ignored. All they could do is sit there and say that the XFL had poor ratings compared to the National Football League. Look, everybody has poor ratings compared to the National Football League. Do you know that this weekend, like, we've been in the coronavirus, as you all know. We've been essentially not being able to go anywhere for 6 months. My hair is out of control because I can't get a haircut. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we've just all been sitting around waiting for real sports to come back. So the National Basketball Association comes back. Their television ratings from this past Sunday, the Giannis loss against James Harden, the Beard, Russell Westbrook, The loss averaged 2.5 million viewers. That's 2.5 million viewers. 60 Minutes over on CBS was well over 7 million viewers. You put that in perspective with the XFL opening weekend stats, and they ran in over 3 million viewers per nationally televised football game. Now, things did drop off significantly, but you would expect them to drop off significantly. Before the coronavirus hit, things seemed to have stabilized. Around 1.5 million people in North America were going to watch a nationally televised XFL game. Those ratings are not bad at all when you put it in perspective with the National Basketball Association. So the XFL ratings stabilized at 1.5 million. When you compare it to the MLS, that's right, I got to bring up soccer. When you compare it to soccer, and there's a reason for that. When you compare it to soccer averages about a quarter of a million viewers. That, for you people out there that struggle with math, that's about 250,000 viewers per nationally televised game. Now, do you know how much the MLS television contract, national television contract, is per year? Now the MLS has been around for 20 years. 20 years, and all they can do is get 250,000 viewers for a nationally televised game. I mean, the theory that I had and I talked about a lot earlier in the year, which was, once you hit like the age of 12, and you're officially out of youth soccer, basically, the majority of you only pay attention to soccer like 4 times every 4 years. And it's either for the World Cup, when the the Men's World Cup, when the U.S. team tries its best to not be there. And then the women's team always does well, as we know, in the World Cup. And then for the Olympics, those are like the 4 times a year. 4 times every 4 years that we pay any attention. We really pay any attention. Like, we all say we've got a favorite Premier League team, but do we really sit down and watch an entire game? Some of us do, but not a lot. Look at the ratings for the MLS. 250,000. They've been around for 20 years, but here's the kicker. They got $100 million a year. $100 million a year for their national television contract. So when I heard all of these people talking in the media about what a bad investment this was for Dwayne Johnson, I was like, what are they talking about? He rolled out of bed and he decided to get a couple people together that he knows and acquire the XFL for just $15 million. Look, even if they never play another snap again in the XFL, if all they do is turn this into a merchandising game, they could easily make their money back off of that. Now, operating an XFL is a completely different thing. You can't just drop. You can't just say, I'm spending $15 million on it. It costs a lot more. Operating costs for a league like this have to be between $100 million and $300 million for every 24 months of football that they play. So in order for this to actually be successful, they've either got to figure out how to lower that number or figure out how to cut down on costs. Now, one of the great opportunities that they have in front of them is to simply say, look, we're going to try to come out and we're going to play the week after the Super Bowl and plan on that. But they're going to do it from a Walt Disney bubble. I mean, Dwayne Johnson already has a great relationship with the Disney Corporation. So why not do a XFL bubble for 2 months and see what happens. It actually makes so much sense, it's not even funny. And I'm sure it's part of what Dwayne Johnson was thinking about. An even better idea is to come up with Football Island. I mean, somebody call up Dana White and let's see if they can use Dana White's island in Dubai, and we could have Football Island for the XFL. It's a football league / reality show. 8 weeks of that would do extraordinarily well until I'm sure their numbers would stabilize around 1.5 million per game if they did that. Plus, you really do still have to sit here and worry about the coronavirus even into the spring of next year. Look, I have to say, for those people, that were like, why would Dwayne throw away his money like that? Like, he's got so many movies in production right now, it's not even funny. Like, speaking of Disney, he's got that Jungle Cruise movie coming out. I heard that he made over $20 million just for that movie. Just if you look at what he made off of Jumanji, like, this is pennies to him to spend $5 million of his own money and invested into the XFL. Now, the real issue is going to come with operating expenses. Now, Dwayne Johnson and his ex-wife, Dany Garcia, have proven that they know how to generate money with entertainment vehicles. They know what they're doing. Factor in a very strong, and I checked out RedBird Capital, and those guys certainly don't make bad investments. So I think this was a good investment for everybody, and I'm sure they'll figure out how to build the correct amount of operating dollars and investment dollars that they're going to actually need to make this thing succeed. All right. So thanks so much for tuning in to the big 7-minute sports daily. One last thing. Like, I was like, how many different projects does Dwayne Johnson have coming out? And it's ridiculous. Like, the list is crazy long. You put that list together with his company, $7 Production. It's called $7 Production because he only had $7 left in his pocket when he got canned from the CFL. But they have a ton of movies over at $7 Production in production or development. As well as some television shows. But he's got a bunch of movies coming out. They're going to start work on 2 movies that I thought were sort of interesting. San Andreas #2. So it's a Second Fault has been developed. And there's a whole other issue. I mean, like, how many times can you destroy LA, I think, is the question. And then the second movie, which I'm most excited about, and you should be too as well, is a remake or a new version of Big Trouble in Little China. Now, if you haven't seen it, so go ahead and subscribe to this, the 7-Minute Sports Daily. After you do that, go find a streaming service and watch Big Trouble in Little China. Trust me, it is one of the greatest, the greatest movies, surprisingly greatest movies of all time. All right. Make sure you check out our big website at mighty.rip when you have a chance. If you haven't subscribed to The Big Show, go ahead and subscribe to The Big Show. On the Mighty Rip website, we've got Bubble Mello pays off for the Portland Trailblazers. The Rock is a total baller for buying the XFL. The Houston Rockets certainly don't fear the deer, but they do fear the Portland Trailblazers, apparently. The risk and rewards of dealing with Antonio Brown. Those are the latest stories on the mighty.rip website, which is doing extraordinarily well over 375,000 page views in July. So thank you for all of your support there. It's the big ending now. for the 7 Minute Sports Daily. I am Dave DeBon. I absolutely ran over, reminding you that sometimes players, coaches, and front office folks make horrifically bad decisions. Bill O'Brien.